We're live. We're live. Okay. I would like to call the meeting to order for our Monday, December the 21st meeting at 4 p.m. By Zoom. At this time, Heather, could you call the roll?
Director Peavey?
Here.
Assistant Mayor Teeters?
Here.
Director Harris?
Here.
Director Hollebush?
Here.
Director Brewer?
Here.
Director Minor's absent. Mayor Brown?
Here. Okay, at this time, we have a couple of presentations. At this time, I want to just say a personal thank you to Director Peavey and Director Teeters for their service to the city. We in public service know that this is not something that anybody that's interested in public service would take lightly, and the time and the time that it takes to put in to not only represent your ward but also represent the city, it doesn't need to go unnoticed. The city has a couple of plaques for you that we can that you can pick up at any time, but those plaques pretty much say it all in the fact that we're recognizing you for your Director Teeters for your years of service in Ward 1, and also as service as assistant mayor. Very appreciative of you, for me personally, for filling in for me and helping carry on the office of the mayor when I wasn't able to do that. And I really appreciate your time and effort that you did and helping me as vice mayor. And likewise, Director Peavey, your plaque will say for your service of Director of Ward 6 and representing Ward 6. So the city appreciates that. And at this time, if you guys have something that you would want to say, I think now would be the appropriate time for you to say it.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate that. It has been a wonderful 4 years. As you said, no one should enter this job for any other reasons other than to serve their city with openness and honesty and always looking out for the welfare of the citizens. That's why I was approached to do it, and it has truly been an honor to serve with all of you. And I'll stay involved. I'll still be involved in the city. I've learned a lot about the city, and I want to stay involved in that. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say, goodness, I also have learned so much these past 4 years. And I have learned and seen what we can do when we respectfully question to understand how our decisions are going to impact our city. And I have learned to question motivations. I believe that what we have accomplished in the past 4 years are going to affect and impact our city for future positive growth. And I'm thinking of the new animal shelter, the new airport terminal, the remodeling of the old Boys and Girls Club, securing our water rights, making a major land deal with the county. I'm sure I'm leaving out some things. We've gotten quite a lot accomplished. The revitalization of downtown, the entertainment district. I believe all of these are going to stand the test of time. And so to our city staff and mayor for this recognition, I'd like to say thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you again for you guys' service. Also, Director Peavey, you'll be recognized for the Texarkana Urban Transit Board. Is there somebody on the call that would speak on behalf of the Transit Board?
I'm checking, just one moment.
Okay. He was supposed to have logged in.
Oh.
He has logged in. Chris Brown.
Okay. At this time, Chris, can you hear me?
Good afternoon, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Yes. At this time, your presentation, recognition for Director Peavey.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the time. And Director Peavey, we
Okay.
definitely wanted to just say thank you for your commitment to the Texarkana Urban Transit District, to the T-Line, for how involved you were in your service on the board. And I believe we have arranged, I think we will be able to present your plaque in person. And I'm really glad to be able to stand beside our board chair, Mayor Bergman, in order to do that. So just did not want to miss the chance to say thank you and how much we appreciate your dedication and time and commitment to the transit district.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I appreciate that so much. And I'll see you at the next meeting.
Yes, ma'am. That's great. Glad you will be able to be there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Okay, moving right along to our consent agenda. Director Harris has requested that we remove item number 2. And at this time on the consent agenda will be the approval of the minutes of our regular scheduled meeting on December the 7th. So what's the desire of the board in the approval of those minutes?
Stephen Hollowbush, motion to adopt.
Brewer, second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? And the minutes pass. Director Harris would like to address item number 2.
Yes, could we scroll down?
Yes, it's not,
Thank you.
okay, it's not nothing about the person who we, per se, who we finna put in this position. I just want to say that, I normally used to visit before COVID-19, our court system, just sit in, just see how things going. And I just hope that he have been to our courts before this, which I think he have. And I just want to just just say that I hope he continues sometime by being more fair. It's not about being righteous sometimes. It's about being fair. And that's all I had to say.
Okay. So item number 2 is to adopt a resolution appointing Eric Marks to serve and fulfill the duties of city prosecutor. Is there any other discussion from board members? If not, we can instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
I don't believe he's here, so I'll read it.
Okay.
Whereas Thomas Potter, the current appointed city prosecutor, has been elected to serve as district judge, leaving the position of city prosecutor vacant as of January 1, 2020. And whereas, upon request for qualifications, Eric A. Marks submitted a timely proposal to serve as city prosecutor, and whereas the city manager and staff recommend appointment. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that Eric A. Marks is appointed to serve and fulfill the duties of city prosecutor, and the city manager is authorized to enter into an agreement with Mr. Marks for such services and compensation upon such terms as may be acceptable to the city manager and permitted by applicable law. Passed and approved this 21st day of December 2020.
Okay, you've heard the resolution. Is there any other discussion? Do I hear a motion to adopt the resolution?
Lane Harris move for adoption.
Director Peavey, second.
We have a motion and second to adopt the resolution. Is there any other discussion? If not, could you call the roll, please?
Peavey,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes,
Hollowbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes. So the resolution passes. So moving right along to our regular agenda, Item number 3 is to adopt a resolution approving the Texarkana Water Utilities fiscal year 2021 budget. Executive Director J.D. Phillips and Finance Director Jim Cornelius.
Yes, Jim's going to give a little presentation on the budget for everybody real quick.
Okay.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. We were having trouble connecting in here. So, okay. Yes, I'll step through to a summary right quick if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, as presented, this is the budget as presented, and so that's how I'm going to do this. Just to let you know, the budgeted expenditures, the Arkansas-Texas ratio changed slightly, FY21 versus FY20. The Arkansas portion is now for FY21 is 36.86%, which is an increase slightly from 36.78% for the prior year. And of course, that's based on the audit last fiscal year that's been audited, which is FY19, that the results were, known in FY20 and then incorporated into the FY21 budget process. For FY21, we've had some chemical increases. That's something that we deal with a lot in the water industry and sewer industry. Alum, we've had a 15.51% increase. FY21. Last year, we also had a 17% increase in that particular chemical. So we're having increases that are compounding year over year for some of the chemicals. Chlorine increased 1.44% for FY21. Last year, we had an 8% increase. So again, that's another one it's compounding year after year. Far as salary and benefits, the Texas Municipal Retirement System employer contribution rate for FY20 was 16.12%, and that's going to be the percent used through this calendar year, which is another week plus. And then in January, it'll increase slightly from 16.12% to 16.14%. Employer health insurance premiums, we've had a noticeable increase there of 9.42% increase FY21 over FY20. That overall cost amounts to just over $151,000. The Arkansas portion is just over $61,000. For FY20, yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Jim, did that increase, was that also for the Arkansas side employees or just the Texas side employees?
That is for the utility overall, because we're all on the Texas side. We're in their trust fund. They've got a health insurance trust fund, and we're all on the plan that's part of that particular trust.
Thank you.
So it's combined, Arkansas and Texas combined.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And for FY21, there's no pay raises budgeted. As far as contributions to some of the other funds from the revenue fund, the South Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant, contributions of $92,150. That's a $14,363 decrease from the prior fiscal year. Capital improvement, the contribution of $250,000. That's a $100,000 increase. And what we're looking to do there is to bring those contributions more in line to what the real need is. The infrastructure fund, those contributions range from $263 or so to $266 or so $1,000 a year. And for a lot of the infrastructure work that needs replaced, the sewer and water lines. So that helps to bring the capital improvement projects, the new construction, more in line, closer to what the infrastructure fund is doing, because no matter what we do, we're always going to be kind of behind the curve on that, because the tremendous cost involved when you're doing water and sewer in particular, because sewer, generally those projects are way more expensive than water. And for the equipment acquisition fund, looking at $92,150 in contributions there, which is a $73,360 decrease from the prior year. Technology, $210,102 in contributions in the budget for FY21, and that is a $47,358 decrease from the prior year. Personnel policy, got a $100,000 contribution budgeted for this year, which is an $80,000 increase. And again, that's from the OPEB, the other post-employment retirement insurance benefits, because we've had a 281% increase in those. And in preparing the budget this year, it's something that Mayor Brown alluded to last year and asked about. He noticed that the decline in ending cash position and their ending cash reserves. And of course, when we got into this budget year, it only got worse. It didn't get better. And COVID played a role in it, as you can imagine, as well. But then we've been in a period of the past 3 full years, year after year, of heavy rainfall versus what they used to have in the past 2. So over the past 3 years or so, we're looking at $1 million down in revenues because of the heavy rainfall. What happens is you lose the irrigation revenues. So for FY21 and doing the budget, we're looking at cash reserves of 16 days of operations, and that's for FY21. And then when we look projecting out to FY22 and 23, it only got worse. FY22, we were looking at negative 22 days. FY23, we're looking at negative 64 days. So what we want to do in the budget is to look at what we can do to shore that up and bring our cash reserves back in line to what we need them to be, closer to 60 days of operations. So, and at the same time, Standard & Poor's, because of the COVID situation and the economic situation, we were in a recession at the time. This was, right in September, toward the end of September. So we needed to show them projections that indicated we had strong cash. In other words, that we didn't need to be projecting a budget that showed us in a serious declining cash reserve situation. So that we were looking at rates that would improve that situation, fix the issues with their contributions, get those closer to what they should be, provide the adequate cash reserves, and stabilize those ending cash balances. And what it amounted to it takes a 17.75% increase, okay, in both water and sewer rates, both, to really get us where we should be. Like for FY21, that'll put us at exactly 60 days of cash reserves. For FY22, that would project out to 63 days there, FY23 to 62 days, and then FY24 and 25, it starts to fall back off. We're looking at 57 days for each of those. So we're still doing very strong, even that far out. And with the 17.75% increase, what you're looking at on the average bill for Texarkana, Arkansas, the water bill is looking at $64.73. So a 17.75% increase equals a 10.78% increase in the overall bill. So it would go from the average bill $64.73 to $71.71. All right, and just looking at the FY20 to FY20 revised revenue, revenues started to come back, especially, because we took off the moratorium on shutoffs and penalties. That was put in place back in March, and then we lifted that back on August the 24th. So once we've done that, then that helped to build back some of that revenue that we'd lost. So we came in under, as far as the service charges, of right around $160,000. Otherwise, it would have been much worse than that. And overall, we finished out because we actually added some water and sewer accounts. There was an increase of about roughly 150 water and sewer accounts for the year. So that helped to offset some of the revenue losses because of COVID and the heavy rainfall, is that we actually increased a little bit in our customer base. And then with the budget, as I mentioned, we show the rate increase of 17.75%. And then to show that when I look at the revenues FY20 to FY21 with that increase built in, we're looking at generating just over $1.2 million in additional revenue. And then for FY20 to FY20 revised budget or expenditures, we're looking at for the year coming in just about 2% under what the budgeted expenditures was. So that equated to just almost $153,000 in savings. And part of that was our Millwood division. It came in higher. Otherwise, the savings would have been much more. But we had to run Millwood a lot more during the year because we had to do low service work out at Wright-Patman. So we were having to run off the Millwood plant more, fix the switchgear out there. As far as our operating divisions, FY21 to FY20 budget, we're showing year over year an increase of 1.63% there. So, even with the rate increase built in, that we're, that's being already offset partially by a 1.63% increase in projected costs. And as mentioned, some of that's the chemical cost and caustic soda increasing by about 80%. Chlorine by 48%, and then alum about 75%. And then we've got several projects slated for FY21. South Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant, we've got 5 projects budgeted out there. One of those is the third and final year of the SCADA work. That's the supervisory control and data acquisition that we're using the satellite technology to communicate back, from the lift stations and other equipment back to the main plant where the operators are running those and keeping those maintained. If there's a problem, they could go out and address it quicker. And South Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant, the total project amount combined is $265,000. The Arkansas share of that is $97,679. The North Texarkana or McKinney Bayou Wastewater Treatment Plant, we're budgeting $59,500 in project work there, with the Arkansas amount of $36,295. As far as the Millwood Water Treatment Plant, we've got about 11 projects budgeted there. We got a basin lining, a valve replacement, and also some SCADA work there, and some of those are carryover projects from FY20. Also planning to clean 2 of the sludge ponds during this coming fiscal year, and project to replace the generator transfer switch. That's kind of an emergency thing there because of the safety issue, and that's a $200,000 project, with Arkansas share being $73,720. So the Millwood Water Treatment Plant project total for the year is $1,401,800, and then Arkansas share of that's $516,703. For the grand total of the depreciation projects budgeted for FY21 of $1.726 million, Arkansas share of that total being just under $651,000. And then we have several capital improvement fund and infrastructure projects budgeted. We've also have 11 projects for the capital improvement fund budgeted. And one of those sewer improvements of $50,000, and we've already eat into that one pretty hard already. We've had some issues with the Highland Hills lift station. We had to buy a spare pump motor, and then 2 replacements. There's been some issues out there with the load on those pumps that have caused them to burn out. So we've had to address that already. We've had we got a leak, I think, on out 35th Street that we know of, but the engineers have sight of, and they're trying to deal with that. And then we've had in the Sugar Hill area, we've had some issues with the ground soil, and it's a road causing erosion of the ductile iron water line over there. We have a 36-inch line off state line or state line. That's the one that ruptured back, I believe it was around March, and we had to repair that. And then that's the one that drained the system. And then on Sugar Hill, we had a leak that JD found I guess it's been about a month or so back now, that we had to repair. And I think that one wound up costing about $38,000 because again, that soil erodes that line, eats through it, and then we have a rupture. And then, of course, then that's water loss, that's treated water. Hold on just a second, my screen timed me out here. Okay, I think I'm back. And so for the capital improvement fund, the total budgeted there is $668,721. And for the infrastructure fund, we have 5 projects slated there, totaling $310,100. That includes continuing the engineering work on the Nix Creek area sewer improvement project. Eventually that's going to be, I think I mentioned that one last year, probably looking at close to a $2 million project at some point, but right now they're still doing the engineering and design work on that. But there's a lot that needs addressed over there as far as the collapsed sewer lines and condition of the sewer. And the total project cost for the infrastructure fund budget for FY21 is $310,100. Lake Texarkana capital improvement, we've got a total of $775,000 projects budgeted there. The Arkansas share being just under $199,000. And we're also looking right now at refinancing some of our bonded debt. We just paid off on the Arkansas side the 1998 and 1998B bonds, and that'll save us about $235,000 going forward. Those are now gone. Those are paid off. And we're looking at refinancing the 2007 bonds, and that'll be something we're looking to bring before the board probably within the next month to be probably the end of January or very early February. We're working with Raymond James on getting that one done, but that should save between $202,000 and $207,000 over the remaining 5-year life of those bonds. So overall, as the budget's presented, it shows strong ending cash balances. Arkansas at 60 days, Mandeville at 122 days, and Union at 138 days. So with that, are there any questions? Anything I can help to answer?
Yeah, Director Brewer, I have a question.
Yes.
When was the last increase we've had for the citizens?
The last increase that we've done was, I believe it was January 2019. It was a CPI that was put into the internal transfers to the city.
I'm sorry, what was your question again, Director Brewer?
I asked when was the last rate increase that would affect the citizens of Moore County?
And your response was it was in 2019 last year?
It was January 2019. It was a 2.8% increase that was built into the transfers that we made to the general fund. That was just stopped going for FY21.
Jim, also the last overall increase was the 2009 rate increase that was done, wasn't it? Or
the last rate increase retained by the water utility was April 2009, which is over 11 and a half years ago. That was a 20% water increase and a 15% sewer increase. And then in June of 2016, we had a 10% increase, and that was to generate the $541,522 that we send to Southwest Arkansas Water District for all those additional Millwood water rights. So that was strictly an increase to build funds to pay for those water rights. But the last one retained by the utility was April 2009.
Well, I'm amazed it's been that long for a rate increase like that, 2009. So that's a long time. But just a couple of my thoughts since Director Teeters and I were going out. I don't mind passing a budget for you guys, but I'm very uncomfortable with having this type of increase there, especially when we have two incoming new board members that I believe they need to hear this also. So I don't know if you feel the same way or not, Director Teeters, but I'm not, I think the new board members really need to be listening to this and be involved with this. That's just my thoughts.
Director Teeters here. I agree. I think the budget should pass. I do support the increase. My two issues are, number one, I know that COVID has affected, and the flooding that we had, both of those have played into the need for this. The severe flooding we had all of last year, and like I said, with the COVID. And I know it's affected our bottom dollar for the city as well as the water utility, but it's also affected our citizens. And so I know it's $9 and I get it. And if I weren't going off the board, I would probably vote for it today too. But I do agree with Director Peavey. I don't think with a clear conscience, I can vote to pass on an extra monthly, almost $10 fee to the citizens when I'm not here to answer for it. I feel like, again, it's not that I'm against it. I wish that they could vote on that in 2 weeks, and that way they know that that's what they're doing. I don't want this to be something I do on my way out the back door. That's kind of my feelings on it. I mean, are we gonna, would the first regular meeting be in 2 weeks for the new board?
It would be January 4th. would be the
Okay.
Next meeting.
Mr. Phillips, Mr. Cornelius, I mean, is waiting 2 weeks detrimental to the budget at all?
I wouldn't think so. I mean,
Okay.
We'll just, we'll just continue as we are and kind of keep an eye on things,
Like I said, if it weren't the end of 2 terms, like I said, I would support it. I wouldn't like the fact that our citizens are having to pay extra, but I'd feel better supporting it if I weren't on my way out. I hate to pass on a fee to them and then I don't have to answer to them. I wouldn't feel comfortable with that.
And my favorite word, has always been compromise somewhere. So anyway, yes, going out the back door and not being able to citizens to get in touch with me. I would rather leave this for the 2 new incoming board members.
One thing we've also proposed on the Texas side has approved doing a rate study, and we could piggyback a rate study for the Arkansas side onto the one we're going to do. The Texas side will propose doing in the new year. So that would be.
I like that idea.
I do too.
I have one more.
Jim, go ahead, Director Harris.
Oh, my question, I have never really known that I thought most of the rate increase be separate by itself. I ain't never known it be included within the budget if it wasn't passed prior to the budget. Then my other question is, what's the status on the New Boston, AKA Wright Papping plant? At one while I was hearing a whole lot. It was in Dow Strait. It need to be this done to it. It need to be this done to it. And it was about to, fall to the wayside. Now I'm not hearing nothing else about it. So what's the stat?
It's working there's one project in the Lake Texas County Water Supply on the electrical system that will need to be done within the next year to keep it going. It's got several more years it's got to run. And so, but it's in reasonably good shape now.
Okay.
Stephen Hollabush here. I have one question also.
Uh-huh.
Do we have a mitigation plan to account for, I mean, with the COVID and the excessive rain, do we have a plan in place?
I'm not following you, maybe. Well, I mean, I guess the biggest thing is we won't do projects. We'll just hold off on doing capital improvement projects until we have money, which that'd be our biggest thing. We stop doing projects or only do something that under emergency conditions.
So Jim, passing the budget at the end of next week, our cash balance is going to be how much? 16 days?
Well, we don't know that. We no longer have, right at the moment, we don't have a financial system to access. I mean, there's only two people that can get on. One's your payroll person and one's mine. So that's all they're able to get live on the Wintegrate system right now. So we have no way of
before we went down. What's your
well, it
estimate
was just,
before
it was the 16 days. And that's projection with us doing the transfers, and we'll be holding back that is, and I think we'll have to. So we haven't, because of the network going down and the cyber incident, we haven't been able to send out a bill to a customer since November. So we haven't billed for anything. So that just makes everything that much worse. Of course, we can't charge penalties. We can't do shut off charges. So, they get the benefit of that, but they have no bills, right now. We can't generate, we can't even get in. We're having to rebuild that system from an October backup. The vendor has it ready for us to do our part of the conversion. We're basically having to just pretty much almost a full conversion based on an old backup from October that they just happened to have it because there was a software hiccup. So they wanted to, do a backup before they actually did the correction. And so
do we by chance have a cash line of credit with a financial institution?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Cornelius, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
That is 17.75. Is that the bottom line number to get us at that today operational reserve?
It's not the total bottom line, because there we're looking at increasing the capital contribution, the capital improvements, because in the past numerous years we were doing contributions from revenue to capital improvement of 328,000, and then we dropped that, down to 150. So now we're looking at trying to get that back, because we've got those projects. I mean, those water lines, they're going to be rupturing, and we've got sewer lines in problems with water valves. So there's always a need that seems to exceed whatever we have available. So that includes the contribution to try to get that back closer to what the needs are, at least reasonably. But it doesn't go fully to the 328 either,
The issue we have tonight is the issue we have before us right now is we don't have the votes to pass it. We have a director that's absent. We have two that is not going to support it. So we're going to have to move on probably with a motion to table until our January 4th meeting. And at that point in time, we're going to have to take some serious action and do something to keep the water company moving forward. We'll have to pass some sort of budget between now, or get everything ready for the agenda again on January 4th. But nothing's going to happen tonight that I can see right now, unless I'm missing something.
And like I said, I want to go on record. If I weren't going out, I support it. I appreciate also Director Brewer asking, perhaps there might be a slight compromise, especially if we're seeing an increase. I think you said there was 100 new hookups, which is helping. And so if we continue seeing growth there too, perhaps y'all wouldn't have to go quite as high as 17 point whatever %. Maybe there could be a little compromise there, and maybe go closer to, somewhere between 10, 15 or whatever. So I hope I support it 100%, and I want it to pass in January. And but I think Mayor Brown is correct at this point. I don't feel comfortable doing this to the citizens on my way out. I think y'all should hear a little bit more about it. And I do like the study that the Texas side had asked y'all to do. And like you said, we could they could be a part of that on the Arkansas side, and y'all could present that to the new incoming board in 2 weeks.
Well, the rate study will take several months to do. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It won't be ready till late summer, probably going into the next budget year
Right.
at the earliest.
And has the Texas side already approved this 17, or are they waiting on that study?
No, they've approved us doing the study. We just haven't gone out for proposals yet. We were waiting to do that after the first of the year.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The question was, did the Texas side approve a 17% increase?
Oh, no, they've
okay.
done some increases in the past.
Very good. So we're not holding it up just today.
Oh, no, no.
Texas side has not approved it either. Okay,
No.
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So at this time, without any further discussion, do I hear a motion to table?
Lena has moved to table this until the next board meeting in January the 4th.
Stephen Hollbush, second.
I have a motion and second to table. Is there any other discussion? If not, could you call the roll, please?
Peavey,
Yes.
Teeters,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes,
Hollbush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. So the resolution is tabled. So we're moving along to item number 4 on the regular agenda, which is to adopt an ordinance for the purchase of a Centennial social media monitoring software for the school violence grant. Interim Chief Christy Bennett and Scott Megason.
Thank you, Board and Mayor Ellen Brown. I'm here with Lieutenant Scott Megason right now, and we're going to talk to you or answer any questions you have about our grant-funded program, Social Sentinel.
Does anybody have any trouble hearing her beside me?
no,
Yes, sir.
Cut out a little bit, but I could hear at the end.
Okay, I'm so very sorry. We're having to try to do this on our phone. Our computers are still down, so best we can. So just have me repeat myself if I need to. But we're here to talk about our Social Sentinel. If you have any questions for us, we're here to answer.
Okay.
Is this in conjunction, Chief Bennett, with the program we already have with the schools, or is this something completely different?
This is completely different. This is a grant that we applied for back last June and we received. And in this grant money, it was for $146,000, and it was a stop school violence grant. Some of the budget line items have already been spent, but this one specifically is $32,100 in the amount of program called Social Sentinel Media Monitoring. And it is a way for us to monitor different social media accounts from anybody in this area. We can even assist with other schools and other jurisdictions as well, but it's to kind of get ahead of any type of school violence that might be out there, so we can kind of get out first.
Okay. I have a question. So this social Centennial, this is another form of, I guess, bullying intervention. Is that correct?
Yes, Director Brewer, it is actually part of to stop school violence, just like the incident in Lakeland, Florida, and things of that nature. What it does is this software is cutting edge and the only one of its kind that we've been able to locate. What it does is the police department doesn't actually control it. We actually take, and Sergeant Cockrell will train the school staff how to use it. It's like a geo around the property. And while doing that, there's like a threats of violence or anything like that pops up, they will this is part of a project that we actually serve the Southwest Arkansas region. And that being said, this includes the Texarkana Arkansas School District, Ashdown School District, going to be presented to Noah, Falk, and Trinity Christian. What initially was going to be $30,000 for a 1-year contract, we were able to talk. Sergeant Cockrell was able to work with them and actually come back to where this is actually a 3-year contract that is for $10,700 each year. So,
All right. I understand that there's a strong relationship between bullying behaviors and violence. Working as I guess the youth director at our church, we often have these conversations with a lot of our youth. And I think I like the direction where you're going, because just talking to some of our youth, 1 in 5 of them has already been bullied, and they've suffered, some of them I've seen, they suffer depression, anxiety, low academic achievement, and I think this will be a good intervention.
I agree. It also lets us take and strengthen our community partnerships with our school districts and move forward towards a common goal to help reduce violence in the school setting.
Thank you. Assistant Mayor Teeters, I have one question as well. Is this a system where it has to be like self-reported from the school district, or is this a system where if they're using the school's Wi-Fi, we automatically have a monitoring built in so that you guys immediately know about these types of, I'm assuming it keys in on buzzwords or things like that. Is it something tied to the school's internet, or is it something that the school would have to reach out to you on and say, we're suspecting this?
Okay, I've got Sergeant Rick Cockrell here, and he's here over that. He's the one communicating with Sentinel Records. So I'm going to let him answer that question for you.
Thank
Okay?
you.
Assistant Mayor.
That is an excellent question. Social Sentinel is its own entity, and this will be a program that is set up through the school district. So as soon as it's approved, starting January 1, the school district will be able to set up an account. And what this program does is it develops algorithms to look through social media to find signs of violence, and they can take specifically for your community. And what I mean by that is if you're having an issue with gang violence and there's certain emojis or certain key phrases and things like that, they can incorporate those things into their algorithm. And then each school district will have a liaison that will coordinate with our threat intelligence investigator here. In the event that algorithm pings a sign of violence or a threat of violence or something that you as a school district have, or the police department have set up, the school district's liaison, which will be usually the head of security, will get a notification, and he will be sent all that information. Once the school district deems that to be a credible threat, they will contact the police department and present that to us to further our investigation.
So it would be tied to our school district's internet system then, I guess?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No?
No, ma'am. Their programs, what you are is you set up an account. Their programs are constantly scouring social media, looking for signs of violence within a GeoNet setting. So essentially, the GeoNet will be set 2 miles outside of the junior high or the high school. And if somebody enters into that GeoNet and they make a derogatory threat towards the school district or violence to another student, that threat is pinged and then sent to the liaison, which would be the school security representative. And then he will take that information and then he will forward it to the law enforcement agency set in that area.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is Director Peavey. Is the word bullying or bullying words, are those connected to threats of violence?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
think that you would like to know that, Director Brewer, that, you know, anytime somebody gets on there and is bullying a student, is that considered to be threatening, a threatening act? And from what I'm hearing you say, answer that yes, it could be. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Hey, I have Stephen Hollibush here. I have one quick question. Does this work with Snapchat as well?
Oh,
Snapchat is the only entity that they do not have direct rights to do this to. Every other entity they're able to do so except for Snapchat at this time. Once they're able to develop those copyrights for that, they will be able to.
All right, thank you.
And Director Peavey, again, could you tell us what those entities are again, besides Snapchat?
There's at least, I think they said that there's 8 different ones, but different types of social media messaging where they do private messaging like Kik and things like that. They're able to monitor those settings.
Is Snapchat the one that it goes away in 30 minutes anyway? Or is
Yes, ma'am.
and that's probably part of the problem, I guess, with that.
Yes. So Snapchat, even though it's only 30 seconds or whatever it is on their database, it's still stored on Snapchat. It's developing algorithms in the communication with Snapchat to be able to retrieve that information in the event that it's deemed a threat.
Okay, thank you.
And Director Peavey, one more time. Chief Bennett, how do you see that this could help in the school settings?
Well, it's absolutely another tool for us to use in combating school violence. We're very fortunate to have such a great relationship with our school district. When we brought this to their attention, they were like, absolutely. So we know with having that supportive school district and our law enforcement working together, it's going to make it what the success is capable of.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Is there any other questions? Okay, this is an ordinance. They have requested an emergency clause. What would be the desire of the board to have the ordinance read on its first reading?
Director Teeters, request the ordinance be read in abbreviated form on the first reading.
Stephen Holder, second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to have it read on its first reading in abbreviated form. Is any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Peavey,
Yes.
Teeters,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
an ordinance waiving competitive bidding, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement to implement and utilize Social Sentinel social media monitoring software in furtherance of efforts to fight and prevent school violence and for declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its first reading. Do I hear a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading today?
Stephen Hollibush, motion for second reading, abbreviated form.
Brewer, second.
So I have a motion and second to have it read in abbreviated form on its second reading today. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Peavey,
Yes.
Teeters,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
an ordinance waiving competitive bidding, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement to implement and utilize Social Sentinel social media monitoring software in furtherance of efforts to fight and prevent school violence and for declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
Stephen Hollibush.
So the ordinance has been read on its second reading. Do I hear a motion to have the ordinance read on its third and final reading today?
Stephen Hollibush, motion for third reading, abbreviated form.
Is there a second?
For a second.
So I have a motion and second to have the ordinance read on its third and final reading. Is there any other discussion? Could you call the roll, please?
Peavey,
Yes.
Teeters,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
An ordinance waiving competitive bidding, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement to implement and utilize Social Sentinel social media monitoring software in furtherance of efforts to fight and prevent school violence and for declaring an emergency and for other purposes.
So the ordinance has been read on its third and final reading today. Do I hear a motion to adopt?
Brewer, adopt.
Teeters, second.
So we'll have a motion and a second to adopt. prior to the board voting to adopt this ordinance, is there anyone to speak for or against this ordinance? Hearing none, could you call the roll, please?
Peavey,
Yes.
Teeters,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. So the ordinance passes. They've asked for an emergency clause. What is the board's desire to attach an emergency clause to this ordinance?
Teeters, recommend we adopt the emergency clause to go along with the ordinance.
Peavey, second.
Can I ask a question about the emergency clause before we move forward?
Yes.
What's the emergency clause attached for? Is this an urgent matter? Is there a timeline on this thing?
There's actually a timeline on it. This will allow us to take and to try to have this in place, or to have it in place as soon as we can after the first of the year. And that's when our the last bid, due to COVID, everything kind of shifted with schools being out and remote. So we weren't able to pursue it then. And now with schools being back in session and the majority of students being in the classroom, this allowed us to take and make this push at the end, and that our contract would actually expire December 31st. Or the bid for it. Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Is there any other discussion? So we have a motion and a second to approve of the emergency clause. Could you call the roll, please?
Peavey,
Yes.
Teeters,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. And the emergency clause passes. At this time, I'm not aware of any other business that should come before the board. Is there any
Mayor.
board member or citizens that wish to address the board?
Yes. Mayor, I got a statement,
Yes.
Laney Harris, to read.
Okay, go right ahead.
Okay, it's dated December 21st, 2020. My last statement of the term 2016 through 2020. I never knew that a person had to leave the U.S. and the Arkansas Constitution at the door of a city boardroom with selected enforced policies. No, this is not about self-indulge or self-pity, but with the deck stacked against me from the last 4 years in every which way a person could not even imagine. My so-called shortcoming of not attending a workshop was expressed public every chance the opportunity arose. I know there will not be any words spoken that this will be my 474th regular meeting out of 476, not including the one canceled by COVID-19. No one has pointed out, no point that has been made. I have noticed that no one has stated that this is not a paid position. When you single out a person based on a groundless law that you did not have the authority to take, while I was trying to explain it in simple terms. A police stop and give you a traffic ticket. It is based on his law due to he cannot point out his ground for writing the ticket because there was no law within his power other than to punish you. But the governing bodies put the law on the books about 9 months later, understanding you was ticket and punished 9 months before the law was enacted. Bill of Attainder, ex post facto law. The spirit of oppression has been greatly and widely used with your action by you using your unjust powers to state that only your thoughts and ideas will become before the governing body. And you is always right, and to punish another board member in order to put him in his place. While the news media was highly engaged in slanted opinion when it is about Laney Harris than the complete facts, and that is well expected of them. In my past 4 years as a member of the Texas County, Arkansas Board of City Directors, I wish I could start off by thanking our city manager. But the more I but the more I think about it, I can say thank you for helping me go to social media such as Facebook and Twitter. Due to you having the city council meeting, editing out city communication time. Part of the city meeting televised on KLF 535. I don't have the time to state all the detrimental policy that had been enacted under your administration in my last 4 years. I cannot give you the date when the city enacted a dress code, but I do find it strange when another member tries to tell you what you can or cannot wear, even though I wore a suit at every regular meeting. I find it strange when I make the local news for wearing a hat. Yes, I said a hat. As a member of this governing body, my main objective has been to promote and enhance the quality of life for our citizens. And I would like to thank the citizens of Ward 2 for giving me a chance for the next 4 years, if it's God will. I will continue to show I am attending the board meeting on behalf of the residents of Ward 2 to put them first in all my decisions before the board and continue to fight for Ward 2 to get its fair share of city service, to continue to voice the issue and concern of my ward and to promote the concept of fairness, accountability, and equality on how the city deal with the needs of Ward 2 residents. Thank you. God bless. Laney Harris.
Thank you, Director Harris. Anyone else wishes to address the board?
Director Teeters, just a moment. I just want to thank all of those of you who wholeheartedly on short notice jumped on board when we went out to Harvest Regional Food Bank and stuffed the boxes for the free food giveaway to citizens of Texarkana. In case you weren't aware, we did win. We got our trophies and are displaying them proudly. Anyway, I again want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving of your time, as you've proven to do time and time again over the last 4 years that I've gotten to know you guys. So thanks again for doing that. It was a worthy cause, and I know it served the community well. Thank you.
Yes, I want to say, Teeters, Peavey, it's been good working with you all. You all have showed of exemplary examples of attention to detail and good workmanship. And again, thank you for leading from the front.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And it was nice to get to know you, Director Brewer, at the meetings.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. Carry on.
Well,
Barbara Minor, may I say just a word or two?
Yes.
I am just, I know our board will be good in the coming year and years, but I think Terry Peavey and Assistant Mayor Linda Teeters have added an immense amount of knowledge to this board. And it has been my pleasure to serve every single meeting with them and appreciate them immensely. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Director Minor, for those kind words.
Worth every bit of it and more.
Any other discussion? I will say that
Mayor, just real quick, I would just like to say I didn't know that we could pack that many boxes in that short of a time. And for those of you directors that missed it, Mayor Brown was really cracking the whip. That's all I'm going to say.
And Director Burr is the king of the tape machine, right?
I just don't like losing. I will say that we're on target to begin in-person meetings in January. And I will have a couple other meetings with Kenny to kind of iron out the details for that so we can get some information to you prior to meeting. There will be some different procedural things and rules as we begin to try to meet again in the city hall in January. So our first meeting in January. So I'd be looking for that. I wanted to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's been a strange year. You know, our city has really done well in a pandemic that everybody pulling together and working. And, you know, it's been a double for us. This IT problems we're dealing with right now. We seem to have a pretty good handle on that. So we've had a lot of issues to overcome, and we couldn't do it without all of us working together. So on behalf of, my family and the city to yours, we wish you a happy Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I think it would be appropriate today to get a motion and a second from Director Teeters and Director Peavey to adjourn.
Thank you. Director Teeters here. I make a motion that we adjourn.
Director Peavey, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Could you call the roll, please?
Peavey,
Yes.
Teeters,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollibush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Minor,
No. Yes.
Brown.
I don't want to lose my ladies.
Yeah. Yes, and we're adjourned. Thank y'all.
All right.
Heather, don't hang up if you hear me.
I hear you.
I am so sorry. For some reason,